actually the king is ready to get out of the way. We see the implication of this next move, rook f1, as though the king's going to move somewhere for f7 to be vulnerable. Check, king e3, that's the one played. Okay, what to do about f7? Bishop e6. After takes, the rooks join each other, celebrating the 7th rank. Limzovich will be proud. You know, rooks on the 7th, you think one rook's powerful, what about two? You know, you think one knight's good on f5, what about two? One on g5. Why not have two of everything? If something's good, why not multiply it? Yeah, same with knights, same with rooks. That's what Kasparov's doing to his opponents. Two rooks on the 7th here. He's going to collect other pawns. This is too slow to exploit. Once this e6 goes, we'll have two pawns in the centre as well. So rook h4, desperately clinging on to h7. Check. And now rook g e7 spells out black's doom, which basically maybe d7, no need to take this, and then rook e8. How can these rooks parry two coordinated rooks like this? They can't. The rook cannot, you know, work wonders and get round to defend this. It's indefendable. So what a crush. And this shows the positional side of Kasparov in 1980. It wasn't such a magnificent king attack as the previous game, but still crushing. And from the point of view of the opponent not having too much counterplay, what counterplay did the opponent have in this game from the opening? Another sort of just Kasparov really crashing through. Let's have a look again. So the Greenfield Defense. The Greenfield Defense was used, and Kasparov again playing a very dynamic, aggressive style of sacrificing a pawn quite early, not nannying the pawn centre. Okay, so d5 is the signal, you know, I want a dynamic, aggressive game, and these two pawns are significant later. So knight e5 might be the best move, as pointed out by Chess, our resident IM on this stream, Chess Explained. So bishop takes c3, unfortunately, seemed to give white an incredibly easy game. Even when the queens came off, this is a very, very comfortable position to have as white, if you can get it. So your trump cards, better rooks, better centre, immediate access to c7. This rook doesn't have to commit to c7 if it can be used for, you know, the f file later, if all this is going to happen. Brilliant plan by white. He did outrate his opponent 300 points. So ordinarily you're not going to see, apart from Olympiads are great because you get to see massive rating differences. Instead of all these elite all play alls, in Olympiads you get to see Carlsen playing, you know, 2600s, 2500s, and sometimes even Carlsen loses. But Kasparov in the Olympiads, he only lost a handful of games in the Olympiads. In this particular Olympiad, his first one, he only lost one game in total. One game, which I'm not going to show this week. He was absolutely crushing in his first appearance in the Olympiad. So rook c1. So he's reinforcing his centre. Black's really just lost here. At move 19, Black is strategically lost now. Because of this invasion point, it's so difficult to parry. You might think rook d7, actually. Is there anything wrong with rook d7 on a quick point here? Just maybe white just slowly doubles, or just plays f4 anyway. Rook d7. Does anyone have any view about rook d7 as an idea in passing? Maybe just bishop a4 here. Bishop a4. And if here, then d6. Ooh. That's unbearable. Yeah, bishop a4 looks crushing. So it's horrible. This rook c7 is horrible. and white just crashes through the center and the F file. With seeming, he made it look easy, really. Check. There's too much pressure on black. The rook's got connected, and now pushing the king into the corner. So it's a subject of a horrible idea like this. Simple. D7 looks absolutely crushing. Okay, let's look at another game from the Olympiad. Okay. Now this next game is against the 24-25 Pettersson, Maguire Pettersson, from... Sorry, the three-letter abbreviation ISL is Israel team? ISL? Sorry, I'm sorry for my ignorance. I'm not sure. Sorry, it's ISL country code. Is anyone an expert on country codes? I'm sure it's a pretty easy one. ISL Pettersson, Margit Pettersson. Anyone an expert on three-letter country codes? Iceland, sorry, okay. Should have looked at that before. Iceland. Okay. Anyway, he's 24-25. I'm showing you the white side first, actually, of Kasparov wins. So we'll go with this. Again, Kasparov chooses D4. So that was his favourite move in this particular Olympiad. Now D5, a different choice for black. So, okay, how is he going to mow down this guy? In fact, black plays the super solid Slav defence. So let's see what Kasparov can do to get a dynamic attacking position. After knight f3, knight f6, he offers a pawn. Knight c3, he offers c4. So e4, black clings on to the pawn. e5, knight d5. Now he undermines black's queenside pawns. He plays a4. Black supports that d5 knight with e6 and liberates the bishop, ready for development, trying to castle kingside soon. White plays a takes b5, and now knight takes c3 to be able to take back safely on b5. So here we have another gambit of a pawn. It seems every game he's gambiting a pawn so far that we've seen, or trying to. So who do you prefer in this position, white or black, so far? So this is at move 9. If I give you sort of 10 seconds to evaluate here. I think this must be a theory position, surely. Okay, a very aggressive move. I prefer white myself because I like the dynamic, fun play. So knight g5 is played here. Quite crude looking knight g5. What on earth is knight g5? It's celebrating the fact there's no knight on f6. You know, h7 is a bit more vulnerable. The queen can actually come in rather crudely at various points. You know, if the bishop wasn't there, then knight e6. So actually, nowadays this line is considered very good for black. I'm just explaining why. Bishop b7 was played which does slightly loosen e6. So this aforementioned tactic is coming into play. Queen h5 now threatens knight takes e6 as well as, of course, queen f7. So queen d7 defends both. Now white continues with bishop e2. Bishop e2. So the queen's prompting some dark square weaknesses. If ever g6 is played, white will be looking at these dark squares later. So black plays, perhaps trying to play more solidly, h6. It's not really attacking the knight because of the pin. And in fact, Kasparov just ignores that. He just plays bishop f3 now. And he's immediately threatening, actually, bishop takes. and then knight takes. So knight c6 is played, and now white castled. So natural development of this bishop is stopped because of that f7. Hasn't got any squares anywhere on the diagonal. Knight d8, and now knight e4 is played. So knight e4, centralizing the knight rather nicely. Black doesn't want to give up the light square bishop that easily. He plays a5. Is he going to get anywhere with these pawns? He's delayed castling. It looks quite cheeky to do this. It looks quite risky, really. But how is Kasparov going to exploit any of these weaknesses? Well, his next move eyes the weaknesses directly. Bishop g5. Bishop d5 is played. And now rook fe1, as though this e file is going to be useful, and knight d6 might be on the cards to try and peel open a road to the black king. Is this really going to happen? Is something like this going to happen? Knight c6. Now the bishop also prevents, of course, black from ever castling queenside at the moment. So it's preserved on that diagonal with bishop h4. So the black king's kind of trapped in the centre at the moment. Rook a7 looks a bit of a strange, odd move to have a contortion to resort to. Queen g4 now. Okay, and now guess what black plays now. So if you thought rook a7 was a bit odd looking, guess what black plays now. If I give you 10 seconds, I wouldn't say it's an amazing move. Black's got a difficult position. It's just a funny move. What funny move can black play now? Remember, black is 2425. That's his video rating. 2425. What does he play now? He's under severe pressure. But to be fair, you know, he has got a kind of fortress here at the moment in the centre, and he's got these pawns to look forward to in the future, maybe. So black to play. What does black play? Now g5 can be ruled out by elimination. If g5 knight f6, so not g5, that's a clue, or g6 for that matter. Yeah, black played rook a7. You got to laugh at these rooks. It's funny. I don't know. So anyway, black's under severe pressure, it seems. Peterson became a strong GM later, 2600 FIDE. Apparently, I am Chess Explained right. So now Kasparov opens up the e file with knight d6 check. So he's going to try and emphasize the king in the center. Bishop takes d6, but not the routine e takes, but actually bishop takes d5 now. Okay, bishop takes d5. In this position, it looks pretty dangerous to take like this because of e takes still. Let's have a look. That would be disastrous, wouldn't it? Check. Let's say king here. It looks disastrous. How would white win here? This wasn't in the game. In the game, actually, bishop e7 was played. Can anyone see how white would win after this alternative? E takes. Does white really plays e takes? Yes. King f8. Now what? Anyone? I don't know, maybe this was a possible continuation then. If no one can see any flaw, let's just assume that was a viable continuation unless proven otherwise. So let's go back into the game. In the game, actually, bishop e7 was played. And Kasparov attacks that rook on h7, which is shielded with g6. And now bishop f6. I think now with bishop f6 that bishop g6 might be on the cards soon. King f8, queen f3, attacking c6, the knight moves, and now d5. This looks brutal actually, to maybe get in d6. Black takes, bishop takes d5, queen f5 offering exchange of queens. Now Kasparov attacks the other rook. Poor rook's being attacked here. Queen e3, oh dear. Okay, this is gaining valuable time for something evil, surely. After rook d7, actually Kasparov simply centralizes now the other rook. So black is still in a passive position. The rooks are still not inspiring great confidence here. So maybe fed up with this bishop poking into his position, he takes it. E takes f6. Now threatens immediately actually queen e8 mate. So something has to be done about that. And if queen takes f6, then check wins the rook anyway, because the queen's protecting d7. So knight e6 shielding e8. Now discover attack on the rook, bishop e4, hitting the rook as well as the queen, is actually winning material, it seems. Black gave up the queen here. Maybe it did look a pretty desperate position anyway. So he gave up his queen here. What does he do? It looks terrible. He gave up the queen. So rook and knight versus queen doesn't look as though it's a huge material deficit, but queen e5 is pretty powerful now. There's too many like threats here. Queen b8 has to be done. Black loses time again and loses more material. So king g8. Now here, instead of taking one of these pawns, Kasparov actually plays queen g3 check, which is really embarrassing. It's just immediately winning more material, because if king h8 or king f8 either, then queen b8 is winning mating, and if knight g5, then either f4 or f4 or h4 just wins the knight. Bit of a disaster, a crush in the end. It looked as though black was solid for a while. Let's have a look in overview and summary at this one. So d4, d5, it was a Slav with another interesting sort of pawn gambit. So e5, knight e5, dynamic aggressive play. a4, e6, a takes, knight takes. So now this thrusting knight g5, bishop b7, queen h5. So black starts to get into a very passive position in this course of events. I think what didn't inspire confidence was the unusual rook moves we're about to see. Where black, well, the black king stranded kind of in the center also doesn't inspire too much confidence, but the rook a7 and then later the rook h7 doesn't look right intuitively, but how to break black down is instructive.